The week of April 13th to April 17th, 2026 unfolds like an undercurrent beneath the calm surface of Fairmont Crest. On the outside, everything still carries the elegance, restraint, and polished sophistication that define this community. But the deeper one looks, the clearer and old truth of the world of beyond the gates becomes: the most beautiful homes always hold the darkest secrets. And this time, those secrets are no longer staying still. They are beginning to move, colliding with one another and dragging fear, suspicion, pride, and even the strongest relationships into the open. The week begins with a direct blow to Nicole, a cyber addict that threatens not only her personal data, but also the sense of control she has always fought to maintain. The most frightening thing about an attack like this is not the computer or the breached accounts, but the question of who is sitting behind the screen. Is it a stranger after money? Or someone who knows Nicole well enough to understand exactly where to strike in order to truly terrify her? In a world where information is power, the fact that Nicole has become a target can hardly be seen as random. The attack feels more like a warning than a simple act of sabotage. It suggests that someone wants Nicole silent, wants her to step back, or worse, wants to remind her that she knows too much. At the same time, Vanessa realizes she has been deceived. This is not just a plot twist kind of shock, but a blow aimed straight at her pride. For Vanessa, the deepest pain may not come from what exactly she has lost, but from the fact that she once believed. The person who hurt her is most likely not an outsider, but someone close enough for her to let down her guard. That is what gives Vanessa's pain the color of betrayal rather than failure. She is not only left asking what she has lost, but forced to face the more terrifying question: when did I become this blind? Whether Joey is involved makes this storyline even more dangerous, because Joey has never been the type of character who acts for only one reason. If he is truly connected to this deception, then it is not just a personal blow against Vanessa, but perhaps one link in a much larger plan, where other people's emotions are turned into tools. Leslie, true to her unpredictable nature, appears with an offer for Joey, but in Beyond the Gates, offers are rarely simple transactions. They are usually threads thrown with careful precision, so that the moment the other person takes hold of one, they are already tied into a new game. What makes this moment so compelling is that Leslie never acts without purpose. She chooses the exact right time, the exact right person, and always knows how to turn words into pressure. The issue is not whether Joey wants to work with Leslie, but whether he still has the right to refuse. Once Leslie is the one making the first move, it means she already has something to bargain with. And when a man like Joey is pushed into a position where he has to think twice, it is a sign that the board is beginning to shift. Elsewhere, Ashley receives unwanted advice from an unexpected source. This may seem like a smaller story, but it is perfectly in tune with the spirit of a family drama layered with secrets. Sometimes, a well-timed sentence can be more dangerous than a threat. If Ashley truly overhears a mysterious conversation, or is pulled into the gray zone of truth by someone she never suspected, this could become the turning point that strips away her innocence. Characters like Ashley rarely step into the center of the storm because of ambition. They step into it by accident. But it is often that very accident that allows them to see what the people at the center are desperate to hide. By Tuesday, the atmosphere grows heavier because of Anita's health. In a family like the Duprees, Anita is not just a mother, a grandmother, or a spiritual symbol. She is the invisible pillar that keeps many relationships from falling apart completely. That is why any news from her oncologist is not simply medical information. It is a stone thrown into a lake already full of cracks. If the news is good, it brings hope, but also the fear of slower loss. If the news is bad, it forces every family member to reveal their true nature. Who worries about Anita out of love? Who worries out of guilt? And who worries because they fear losing a powerful anchor within the family? When illness enters a powerful family, it does not just cause pain. It makes every mask far more fragile. Meanwhile, Bill begins asking Haley difficult questions. This is the kind of confrontation Beyond the Gates does best. Not loud, not explosive right away, but full of pressure. One person asks not because he wants answers, but because he wants to see exactly where the other person will flinch. Bill is not the kind of man who interrogates without reason. If he has started suspecting Haley, then he has clearly noticed a crack in her calm surface. The problem with Haley is that the harder she clings to the appearance of victory, the more it feels like she is hiding something enormous. Characters like Haley rarely collapse because they are cornered. They collapse because they have become too used to believing they are clever enough to escape every gaze. That confidence may become her fatal weakness. Randy continues to show devotion to Lynette, and that devotion becomes more suspicious because of how intense it is. In dramas like this, excessive loyalty is almost never unconditional. It either comes from dependence, is fed by emotion, or is tied to a secret that cannot be spoken aloud. If Randy truly is doing everything for Lynette, then the real question is not who he is protecting her from, but what he is helping her hide. On the same day, Smitty steps in to shield Nicole. That action opens up a deeper psychological layer. The protector is often the one who understands the level of danger more clearly than the person being protected. If Smitty feels the need to stand in front of Nicole, then he likely knows this storm is not just a tech-attack, but the first touch of a much larger web of secrets. Amid all of these heavy storylines, the image of Chelsea staying by Naomi's side carries a different tone, softer, closer, but no less painful. Naomi would not need someone beside her if everything were fine. The fact that Chelsea has to remain steadily by her side suggests that Naomi is sinking into a profound state of uncertainty, perhaps because of family, because of a medical truth such as BRCA genetic results, or because she has begun to see shadows she had once tried to deny. What makes this storyline effective is that it is not just about external tragedy. It is about the tragedy of a woman being forced to confront the possibility that her future may no longer be fully in her own hands. And in moments like that, people often want to confess, yet fear that once they speak, nothing will ever return to what it was before. By Wednesday, news of Anita's condition spreads throughout the Dupree family. A medical secret becoming family discussion is always a powerful emotional turning point because it reveals not only information, but the way each person responds to suffering. Some will move toward each other, some will go silent, and some will use the distraction to push their own interests while everyone is looking elsewhere. That is why the question of who leaked the news is not just a detail meant to create suspense. It is a measure of how far respect for privacy has already eroded within this family. Andre comforts Donnie, and that gentleness becomes dangerous in itself. In moments when people are at their most vulnerable, comfort can reach the deepest part of emotion. Donnie may need someone to lean on, but the real issue is who she chooses to lean on and how far she lets herself fall. There are moments that heal, but there are also moments that soften a person precisely when they most need clarity. If Donnie is standing in front of some truth involving Bill, Haley, or her own family, then a hug or a soothing word at this stage could become the beginning of choices with lasting consequences. On Kat's birthday, Tomas creates a surprise. It sounds sweet on the surface, but in Beyond the Gates, the sweeter something looks, the more likely it is to hide calculation. A gift, a romantic gesture, even a proposal, if one happens, would not simply be an expression of love. It could also be a move to hold on to someone, to stake a claim, or to pull Kat firmly to one side. If Tomas is sincere, that sincerity still cannot be entirely separated from the climate of competition and suspicion surrounding every relationship. And if he is calculating, then this is the most dangerous kind of calculation, making someone emotional before they have the chance to ask questions. Ted and Nicole try to maintain tradition, as if holding on to something familiar might help them resist the cracks spreading quietly beneath them. Family rituals often serve as a frame that keeps the picture from falling apart. But if the picture inside is already broken, The beauty of the frame cannot save it. The fact that Ted and Nicole continue doing what they always do does not mean they are truly looking in the same direction. Sometimes, the harder people work to preserve normalcy, the more clearly it proves how unstable things really are. Thursday becomes the day of consequences. Jacob learns an expensive lesson, and that phrase almost always means he has made the wrong move. Maybe he trusted the wrong person. Maybe he acted too quickly before fully understanding the darkness of his opponent. But the important point is that Jacob is touching a zone where truth does not just wound, it endangers. A lesson like this rarely ends with personal pain alone. It forces a character to change the way he sees things, to understand that in this game, good intentions are not enough to survive. Martin advises Nicole to repair a broken friendship, and that is an especially interesting direction. Because at a time when Nicole is under attack and surrounded by suspicion, that advice suggests the key may not lie in continuing to defend herself, but in returning to an old relationship that once collapsed. Maybe that friend holds part of the truth. Maybe the break in the past began with misunderstanding, or with a secret that was never fully spoken. In emotional life, forgiveness is never easy. But in the world of Beyond the Gates, it is even harder when every attempt to reconnect carries the risk of being hurt all over again. Joey gives Randy an order, and that is the moment when the Joey-Randy-Lynette dynamic begins to smell more strongly of power than ever. An order from Joey is never a small errand. It is a test of loyalty, a way of seeing who is willing to go how far to maintain the order he wants to preserve. If this involves Lynette or Haley, then Randy is being pushed into a dangerously fragile position. Obeying is risky, but refusing may leave him with no safe way out either. At the same time, Haley celebrates a victory. But in long-running dramas, a victory celebrated too early is usually the clearest sign of an imminent fall. The more triumphant Haley becomes, the more reason viewers have to suspect that she still has not seen everything tightening quietly around her. Madison's lawsuit leaves Chelsea and Cott worried about a business that had only just begun to show signs of growth. This is a storyline grounded in everyday reality. Success in this world rarely arrives as a gift, and it is even rarer that anyone is allowed to enjoy it in peace. One lawsuit, one accusation, one broken relationship, and everything people have built can begin to shake. What is especially interesting is that Madison may be both a victim and someone who knows exactly how to use circumstance to gain leverage. Characters like her are dangerous because they appear vulnerable, yet are never truly powerless. By Friday, everything reaches a clear emotional pressure point. Donnie questions Bill about something he let slip, and sometimes a careless sentence spoken in a weak moment is more honest than 1,000 carefully prepared explanations. What exactly did Bill reveal? Haley, Naomi, Madison? Whatever the truth is, the fact that Donnie is alert enough not to let it go shows that she has begun to suspect far more deeply. And once Donnie decides to pursue an answer, she may drag an entire chain of hidden truths into the open. Naomi remains confused, like someone standing at a crossroads where every direction leads to loss. Maybe she overheard something she never should have heard. Maybe she has begun to sense the unnatural silences between the people around her. Or maybe her confusion comes from an even deeper internal battle, whether to keep quiet in order to preserve a fragile peace, or speak and face the full storm waiting behind it. Chelsea may be beside Naomi, but no one can walk in her place through the moment when truth demands a choice. Vernon turns to Madison for advice, and that is a remarkable detail because it places Madison in the role of someone trusted, or at the very least, someone capable of seeing what others have missed. Perhaps what Vernon needs is connected to Anita, but it may also involve something far more personal and private. Whatever the reason, his decision suggests that Madison holds more weight than her outward image first implies. People only turn to someone when they believe that person understands their confusion, or when they no longer know where else to go. The week closes with a heartfelt conversation between Nicole and Vanessa, along with Eva's discomfort when she sees Isaiah and Kat talking closely. One side reveals people lowering their guard enough to touch real pain. The other shows the first spark of jealousy, insecurity, and misunderstanding beginning to grow. Nicole and Vanessa may find in each other a rare kind of empathy, but that same honesty could also open the door to a truth more painful than anything they had imagined. And for Eva, the discomfort may not be jealousy alone. Sometimes the instincts of someone in love are sharper than any evidence. She may not know exactly what is wrong yet, but she has already felt that some line has just been crossed. Looking at the entire week, it is clear that Beyond the Gates is operating with great skill in weaving individual events into one shared current of pressure. The cybernetic, the deception, Anita's illness, Leslie's warning, Naomi's confusion, Joey's order, Haley's too-early celebration, all of it revolves around one larger axis. Once truth begins to leak, no one can remain safely in place. The person in the most pain is not always the one who has lost the most. The calmest person is not always the most innocent. And in a family where love always comes attached to control, and loyalty always comes tangled with calculation, even the gentlest sentence can trigger a collapse no one can stop. That is what makes this week compelling. It is not only about what will happen next, but about the suffocating feeling of watching each character get pushed into revealing who they truly are. That is the real hook of the story. Not simply that there are secrets, but that each secret strikes the deepest weakness in the heart of the person keeping it. Thank you all for taking the time to watch my video, and thank you for your trust. Everything I share is only personal speculation and opinion. If you found the video interesting and helpful, please support me with a like and leave a comment. If you have even better theories or more interesting predictions, feel free to share them in the comments so everyone can join the discussion. I truly appreciate every contribution and every bit of support. Thank you so much. And if you have not followed us yet, scroll down and hit the subscribe button.